Edgar Casey, a modern-day prophet as he's called. His 14,000 psychic readings are all preserved.
Baba Vanga had given thousands of accurate predictions and gained a reputation as the Nostradamus of the Balkans.
The year 2025 is predicted to be a challenging one for the world. Despite living in different times and places, Baba Vanga, Nostradamus, and even Edgar Casey have surprisingly made predictions that are strikingly similar about what might happen to the world this year. The more time passes, the more their prophecy is confirmed. Don't miss our detailed video on prophecies for 2025. Join us as we reveal the top 10 prophecies that Vanga, Nostradamus, and Casey have predicted gonna be fulfilled soon, and how they can change our future. The start of the new war. In the 1930s and 1940s, Casey made many prophecies of cataclysmic events involving the whole planet, with a series of Earth changes occurring very soon. He predicted that the polar axis would shift and that many areas that are now land would again become ocean floor, and that Atlantis would rise from the sea. The phrase Earth changes was coined by the American psychic Edgar Casey in the 1930s in reference to his belief that the world would soon enter a series of cataclysmic events, causing major alterations in human life on the planet. Trump has quite a few complicated relationships with various nations. Many predict that if Trump comes to power again, these relationships could once more become strained. To some extent, it seems to be connected to another prediction from Vanga for the year 2025. One of the events she described was a conflict that was set to erupt in mainland Europe. She believed a new war would break out in 2025 between the two countries, but the ramifications would ripple across the world. She also mentioned the economic war, especially when Trump will jump deeper into the world situation. Regarding the prediction that a nuclear disaster will soon occur, she said that its consequences are extremely far-reaching, affecting global politics, the environment, and all humanity. This event has the potential to destabilize international relations, spark conflict, and lead to changes in the global balance of power. The severity of this prediction has sparked countless speculations. However, critics argue that oracles can still be influenced by social and cultural contexts, and interpretations of prophecies can vary widely. One aspect that needs to be considered is the possibility that Baba Vanga's prediction has a symbolic or metaphorical meaning. Prophecies are often based on symbolism, and interpreting them literally can lead to misunderstandings. What is needed is to interpret the predictions with an open mind, as well as consider alternative interpretations to fully grasp their message. Before her death, Vanga predicted Europe would be under Islamic leadership by 2043, communism would return by 2076, and the world hunger crisis would be resolved between 2025 and 2028. In 2304, humans supposedly achieved time travel, followed by man-made natural disasters from 2341, rendering Earth uninhabitable. Fear not, as Vanga claims human immortality, assimilation with aliens, and communication with God by 4302. The world's end, according to her, is only in 5079. One of Casey's most alarming visions was of a major global conflict with the Persian Gulf as the ignition point. He suggested that countries like Libya, Egypt, Syria, and even the waters near Australia would experience active hostilities. Fortunately, a large-scale war has not yet begun. Perhaps the most unusual prediction involved China. Casey predicted that China would rise to a position of global leadership. Insights of Casey state that these areas might potentially turn into critical areas of interest in geopolitical conflicts. This forecast aligns with modern debates about stability in the Middle East and North Africa, seen by the competition for resources, political power, and regional dominance. Further, Casey has hinted at more profound shifts in the balance of power on the international level. He witnessed a change-like leadership in the world and believed that countries like Russia could be of immense help. This prediction aligns with historical shifts where countries have risen or fallen in influence on the world stage, impacting alliances and international relations. Casey's vision of a major global conflict and shifts in power reflects his observations on potential conflict areas and the evolving nature of geopolitical dynamics. While the specifics remain speculative, the prediction shows the dependence on global affairs and the ongoing importance of diplomacy and international cooperation in preventing conflicts and maintaining stability. Edgar Casey's predictions for 2025 provide a fascinating glimpse into potential future scenarios. From dramatic geographical transformations and the rise of China as a spiritual center to the extension of human lifespans and significant global conflicts, Casey's visions challenge our perceptions and provoke thoughtful consideration of what the future might hold. Casey's visions, including geographical changes and spiritual developments, are questionable when seen through the lens of modernity, science, and continued progress. The first major issue refers to the specification of the prophecies made by Casey on various occasions. While some of his prophecies seem to align with historical events, others remain vague or unfulfilled, leaving room for interpretation. Critics argue that Casey's use of terms like perhaps and maybe allows for broad interpretation, making it difficult to assess the accuracy of his predictions objectively. Moreover, Casey's predictions about technological advancements and human evolution challenge current scientific understanding. These predictions serve as a reminder of the potential for change and the continued mystery of the future. Understanding these prophecies requires balancing curiosity with skepticism, recognizing the potential insights they offer while acknowledging their limitations in our modern society. On the other hand, the Frenchman, Nostradamus, predicted the beginning of a new world war, 79 years after the end of the second one. A confrontation around China is something that many geopolitical experts and journalists have started to see in the changing dynamics and rise of China as a global power. In the past, China has showcased its brute force several times in regions around the South China Sea and Taiwan, most of them through its naval ships. Analysts believe this may allude to the escalating conflict in Asia, with China involving NATO countries, potentially leading to a violent military conflict or an all-out war. Nostradamus also predicted something similar to this centuries ago. In one of his quatrains, he wrote about combat and naval battle. He said that the red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Some think that the red adversary could be referring to China, the end of the world. Edgar Casey's predictions about the second coming of Christ are among his most intriguing and controversial. Casey, a devout Christian, believed that the return of Christ would be a pivotal event in human history, marking the end of an age of materialism and the beginning of a new era of spiritual awakening. Casey suggested that the second coming would occur sometime soon. He did not give a specific date, but indicated that it would happen during a period of great global upheaval and change. According to Casey, the period preceding the second coming would be marked by widespread chaos, conflict, and natural disasters. He predicted wars, economic collapse, and social unrest on a global scale, as well as an increase in earthquakes, hurricanes, and other catastrophic events. Casey believed that the global turmoil would serve as a catalyst for a profound spiritual awakening. He predicted that people would turn away from materialism and seek a deeper connection with the divine, leading to a renewed interest in spirituality and a desire for inner peace. Casey's visions of the second coming described Christ returning not as a physical being, but as a spiritual presence that would manifest in the hearts and minds of people all over the world. He believed that this presence would guide humanity toward a new era of love, compassion, and unity. Casey predicted that the second coming would lead to the establishment of a new world order based on spiritual principles. He envisioned a global society founded on cooperation, equality, and the recognition of the interconnectedness of all life. Casey emphasized the importance of individual spiritual growth and transformation in preparing for the second coming. He believed that each person had a role to play in ushering in the new era, and that personal spiritual development was essential to the collective awakening of humanity.
I'm dealing with four major sins that will cause the earth to convulse.
He explains that according to the Bible, humanity and the land are deeply connected. When Adam was placed in the garden, he was tasked with tending the land, and there was harmony between them. But when sin entered, the land began to rebel against humanity, mirroring what was happening within people. He believes that the same principle is at work today. The land will manifest the sins proliferating across nations. Earthquakes, volcanoes, erratic weather, and other phenomena, he says, will reveal this connection, and these events will happen rapidly, though he doesn't know precisely when he believes they are coming. The Holy Spirit urged him to warn people, not to incite fear, but to prompt them to pray and be prepared. The Holy Spirit reminded him that when Jesus was on earth, he had spoken to people about their ability to read the signs of the sky, noting that a red sky and low clouds could signal rain, while a south wind indicated clear skies. But we need to take note of this. Although there are many prophets who make predictions about the end of the world, in reality, God has said that no one knows the day or hour of his coming, but God. When the Lord tells us, no one knows the day or the hour, he is referring to the truth that nobody knows when his second coming will be. Many individuals throughout time have tried to predict the second coming of Christ, yet there is no way a person can predict the Lord's second coming. The human's life. Baba Vanga is believed to have predicted that from 2025, human babies will be born in laboratories, where the color of their skin to their character can be decided. This means that the entire process of birth will be controlled. The rise of technology, according to Vanga, advancements in reproductive technology have already made it possible for some couples to conceive through in vitro fertilization, IVF, and other assisted reproductive technologies. However, the idea of human reproduction becoming entirely artificial raises a number of ethical questions, such as whether it is right to create human life in a laboratory setting. Additionally, it is unclear what impact this could have on the population as a whole and what unintended consequences could arise from such technology. Human reproduction becoming entirely artificial could have significant consequences for our population and society. It could potentially lead to a decrease in genetic diversity and a greater reliance on technology to create new life. It could also raise significant ethical questions about the creation and ownership of life, as well as the role of government and society in regulating and controlling such technology. The development of artificial reproductive technologies is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have successfully grown mouse embryos in an artificial womb, and human embryos have been successfully grown in vitro. While there are still many technical and ethical challenges to be addressed, these advancements suggest that the development of entirely artificial human reproduction is not outside the realm of possibility. The development of artificial body parts and prosthetics is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have developed brain-controlled prosthetic arms, and some artificial organs, such as hearts, are already in use. While the development of entirely artificial bodies and organs is still a long way off, these advancements suggest that the potential for such technology is not out of the question. Meanwhile, Casey predicted a dramatic extension of human life expectancy, with people living for several centuries. Although we live longer today than in Casey's time, the idea of living for centuries still seems far from our current reality. According to Casey, technology and medicine would assist in determining the length of human life beyond what is currently imagined. He stated, man should live much longer than has been ordinarily given, and will. His prediction implies that other such breakthroughs could solve problems related to aging, enabling people to enjoy better health and live longer lives. While we have seen improvements in healthcare that have increased lifespans compared to Casey's time, living for centuries remains a drastic idea. It would mean not just adding years to life, but also maintaining good health over extended periods. Casey's vision implies that future generations might enjoy a longer and better quality of life in their later years. This could lead to changes in how societies are structured, including retirement ages and healthcare systems. The idea challenges us to think about aging not as a process of decline, but as an opportunity for continued growth and contribution to society. While Casey's specific time frame and ways for achieving these longer lifespans remain uncertain and speculative, his vision encourages us to consider the possibilities of future medical advancements and their potential impact on human longevity. It makes us imagine a future where aging is viewed differently, with new opportunities and challenges for individuals and society as a whole. Casey also made controversial predictions about the origins of humanity. He proposed that 5 distinct human races were created simultaneously in different parts of the earth. His ideas continue to intrigue and challenge conventional perceptions about our origins and our future. He claimed that the white, black, red, brown, and yellow races emerged simultaneously, strategically placed around the globe by a divine power. Casey alleged that the red peoples were descendants of the Atlanteans, residents of a lost continent called Lemuria. According to him, these peoples evolved and developed technology more rapidly than any other race. Additionally, Casey maintained that Native Americans were directly related to the lost civilization of Atlantis, especially the Cherokee people. The history of the Cherokees dates back about 12,000 years, roughly the same period when Atlantis supposedly sank. According to Casey, survivors from Atlantis fled to the Americas and became the Cherokees and Incas. He also believed in the existence of another lost land called Lemuria, located between Europe and the Americas. The inhabitants of Lemuria supposedly fled to Greece, founding the Minoan civilization and possibly sharing their advanced engineering skills with the Egyptians. In his visions, Casey suggested that humanity continues to evolve from our current form. He proposed that there was a progressive evolutionary leap that began an impressive 18 million years ago when spirit transformed into matter. He also believed that humanity experienced a significant evolutionary leap between 10,000 BC and 3000 BC. Casey's ideas about human evolution indicate a future with extraordinary advancements. According to him, a new phase of human progress began in 3000 BC and should continue into our current era, extending until 2004 AD. He predicted that we would achieve significant advancements in knowledge and understanding. Casey predicted a dramatic transformation around 8000 AD, suggesting that by then, humans would have surpassed the limitations of their minds to the point where social structures, institutions, and even schools would become obsolete. In that future, humanity would evolve into a race of super-illuminated beings. The cure for cancer. The mystic predicted that new cures for diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer will be invented this year. It sounds unbelievable, but, nothing is impossible with the rapid development of world medicine. President Vladimir Putin recently said that Russian scientists are close to creating a vaccine for cancer that could soon be available to patients. He said, "We have reached a significant milestone in the development of cancer vaccines and next-generation immunomodulatory drugs. I hope that soon they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy," he added, speaking at a Moscow forum on future technologies. However, he did not specify the types of cancer the proposed vaccines would target. Furthermore, recent developments have confirmed progress in the development of a lung cancer vaccine. The United Kingdom has allocated funding for 2 years of laboratory research and initial manufacturing of 3,000 doses for a DNA-based lung cancer vaccine, as stated in a press release from the University of Oxford, located in Oxford, England. But it cannot be denied that the world will have a positive outlook for cancer patients, and we can fully expect that a miracle will happen in 2025. The natural threat on Earth. It is believed to have been said by Baba Vanga that in 2025, a country would be carrying out bioweapons tests. This prediction is highly disturbing and relevant to current geopolitical issues. Vanga also said that in 2025, Earth could encounter a different path around the Sun. This is a highly interesting prediction, and one that could have far-reaching effects on our lives. Every year, Earth passes the Sun around 584 million miles. This journey is an epic elliptical one, as it is shaped like an oval instead of a circle. The exact shape of the oval is determined by the forces of other planets. Although Earth's orbit can change due to these forces, these changes only happen in a cyclical manner. Even subtle changes can have severe implications on the Earth. It could cause extreme radiation levels and soaring temperatures to affect our planet. It's also possible that an impact from an asteroid could cause the orbital shift suggested by Baba Vanga. Is this a sign of the end? Let's wait and see. The dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen, wrote Nostradamus. He also predicted extreme weather events and world hunger, very great famine through pestiferous wave, to be precise. The prophet also predicts a cruel tsunami and great floods that will ravage parts of the world, followed by a devastating great famine. Nostradamus warned that the earth will become more arid and there will be great floods. The implication is that the tsunami may impact farmland, contributing to a severe famine. Finally, the Frenchman considered that next year there will be a strong and dangerous earthquake in the world that will mean the loss of thousands of lives. Although the place is not specified, it is reminiscent of what happened recently in Morocco, where thousands of people have lost their lives due to a great earthquake in Marrakech and surroundings, or the natural disasters that Iceland is suffering at the moment, which could prove Nostradamus right again. Another prophet also gives his point of view about this nature issue. Edgar Cayce made impressive predictions about changes in the Earth's geography. He claimed that the continents would shift and the climate would change the world in unimaginable ways. He suggested that this transformation could happen suddenly with the eruptions of Mount Etna in Italy and Mount Pelée in Martinique. Both are active volcanoes, with Etna being one of the most active in the world, having erupted recently, while Pelée had its last major eruption in 1902. One of the most critical aspects of this change would occur in Africa. Cayce predicted that the continent would split into 3 parts due to the formation of a massive new waterway, with the Nile River widening and the Red Sea expanding significantly. This dramatic change could even submerge the bustling city of Cairo under the sea. Asia would not escape these convulsions either. Cayce predicted changes in the geography of India, China, Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. He stated that the Pacific Ocean would advance and swallow large portions of land from the Philippines to Japan, leaving only a few remaining islands. The Korean peninsula and parts of China's coastline would also succumb to the rising seas. For India, Cayce issued a specific warning. He advised seeking refuge in the country's higher elevations due to the potential collapse of land. He believed that the Himalayas in Tibet and Nepal would offer safer refuge for Indians. Cayce also made less favorable predictions for Antarctica. He suggested that as the ice melted, the geological structure of the region would undergo drastic transformations, affecting global climate and altering weather patterns in unpredictable ways. Despite the extreme conditions, Antarctica is home to vibrant wildlife, including penguins, seals, whales, and seabirds. The ice sheet provides essential habitats and breeding areas, protecting many species from predators and ensuring access to food. However, Edgar Cayce predicted a dramatic transformation. Antarctica would lose its ice cover and turn into a vast green expanse, perfect for agriculture. On the other hand, Cayce foresaw a less favorable fate for Australia. He predicted that floods would cover a quarter of Australia's territory, submerging cities like Adelaide. Ironically, the arid deserts like Simpson and Gibson would transform into fertile agricultural lands. New Zealand, however, would emerge unscathed and might even expand, connecting to Australia and becoming a refuge for those displaced by global convulsions. In Europe, the predictions were equally dramatic. Cayce predicted that much of northern Europe, including Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, would submerge, leaving only a fragmented archipelago of islands. The United Kingdom would also suffer, with vast areas from Scotland to the English Channel succumbing to rising sea levels. Although some highland areas, such as London and Birmingham, might remain intact, many regions would not escape the devastating changes. Ireland would be almost entirely swallowed by the ocean, leaving only the highest peaks above the waterline. For ocean enthusiasts, Cayce almost predicted an expansion of the terrestrial waters. A new sea would emerge from the merging of the Black and Baltic Seas, cutting Russia off from continental Europe and extending into Siberia. This would position Russia as Europe's granary, a fertile agricultural power. Doubtless, somewhere people will again start to use such disasters as signs that we are living in the last days. Or, to put it more accurately, since the New Testament consistently insists the last days began with Christ's first coming, they will insist that we are living in the last days of the last days. But what about earthquakes and famines? These are merely the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her that the body wants to bring into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. But how unreliable those labor pains can be, sometimes coming months ahead of the actual due date, sometimes weeks in advance. They remind us that we are getting closer to the climactic day, but we know that already just because of the passing of time. The economic collapse. Baba Vanga also reportedly foretold that there will be a huge economic crisis that will impact the global economy in 2025. Factors like rising debt levels and escalating geopolitical tensions will be the reasons for this. Edgar Cayce said that the collapse of traditional financial systems has given rise to new, sustainable economies. We're seeing initiatives like the circular economy and decentralized digital currencies gaining traction. These changes challenge the old structures that once dominated the global scene. It's a monumental shift that even the most advanced technology and probability systems couldn't have predicted. He also predicted natural disasters that would reshape our planet, including increased seismic and volcanic activity, catastrophic floods, and more severe storms. He often spoke of a turning point for humanity, where we'd face significant changes and challenges. These could be global conflicts, economic crises, or natural catastrophes. But Cayce emphasized that these events weren't inevitable. How we respond to these challenges could change their impact. He believed in spiritual and physical healing, suggesting that our current struggles could lead to a collective spiritual awakening. More people are turning to spirituality and inner healing in response to the world's difficulties, a trend that has grown in recent decades. Interpreting Cayce's prophecies is challenging, and everyone might find different meanings based on their perspectives. What's clear is that his teachings continue to inspire and guide millions around the world. In the War Scrolls, he mentioned the occurrence of 7 wars. It is unclear if these wars have already taken place or if they are still to come. The Dead Sea War Scroll is a harrowing discovery that delves into the concept of mankind's destruction, from economics to military force. Composed of great detail and a foreboding tone, This ancient text provides insight into a cataclysmic event of epic proportions. Within its pages, the scroll elucidates the devastating consequences that befall humanity in the wake of this destruction. It vividly describes a world ravaged by chaos, where cities lie in ruins and nature lies desolate. The scroll warns of a future where hope is extinguished and darkness reigns supreme. The issue of growing income inequality and the economic collapse of 2008 are indeed significant indicators of the challenges we face. This widening gap between the rich and the poor has far-reaching implications for our society. It not only threatens social cohesion, but also hampers economic progress and deepens the sense of despair among the less privileged. The 2008 economic crisis highlighted the fragility of our economic systems and the repercussions of unregulated greed. It brought to light the inherent flaws within our financial institutions and the devastating impact it can have on the most vulnerable members of society. Unfortunately, the aftermath of this crisis has not resulted in meaningful reforms to rectify these systemic issues. Addressing the issue of income inequality requires a comprehensive approach. It necessitates the implementation of policies that promote fair wages, equitable distribution of resources, and access to quality education and healthcare. Furthermore, it requires holding those accountable who engage in unethical practices that exacerbate these disparities. We must learn from the lessons of the past to prevent further economic collapse and ensure a more equitable future for everyone. By prioritizing inclusive economic policies and addressing the root causes of income inequality, we can collectively work towards a brighter future where the gap between the rich and the poor is significantly reduced. As for whether we are currently heading towards an ultimate war that will bring an end to everything, it is difficult to say. The future is uncertain and unpredictable. While there have been numerous conflicts and tensions throughout history, it is impossible to determine if any one of them will escalate into a global, all-ending war within our lifetime. On the other hand, as we move toward 2025, there are not only negative risks. Until 2025, the realization of risks such as the pandemic and high resource prices may accelerate the expansion of new investments and related businesses such as DX and GX in response to changes in economic, social, and industrial structures. It is hoped that these new investment flows and the accompanying progress in social and industrial structural reforms will transform the world economy in 2025 from a gloomy one to a hopeful one. The rise of technology. In Baba Vanga's predictions, thanks to advances in organ transplant technology, humans will live to be more than 100 years old. She also anticipated that the darkness would be gone and another region of Earth would be illuminated by artificial sunlight. She foresees a major breakthrough in the realm of quantum computing, bringing an unprecedented technological revolution. This advancement is set to shake up various sectors, from finance and healthcare to cybersecurity, all thanks to the mind-blowing capabilities of quantum computers. The rapid advance of technology is transforming civilization in ways no one expected, in ways that are exciting and scary, ways we are only beginning to understand. Tech seems on the verge of recreating human beings into something new, something altered, bionic, computerized, robotic, superhuman. The internet's spiderweb has descended and covered nearly all elements of civilization. The mystic predicted hackers would increase their attacks, especially against vital infrastructure, thus possibly creating security dangers worldwide. In a similar vein, or wire as it were, Vanga predicted that cyber hackers would amplify threats to national security by targeting infrastructures like power grids. Nostradamus also predicted this in one of his mysterious verses, saying, "Combats and naval battles and a worldwide uprising of artificial intelligence." What does this chilling prophecy imply for 2025? It could be a scenario of a global AI revolt, where machines, robots, and algorithms rise up against their human masters and overthrow their supremacy. This could wreak havoc in all facets of society, from industries and economies to governments and everyday life. Some Nostradamus analysts believe that combat and naval battles refer to the escalation of tensions and conflicts among the world's major powers, such as the United States, China, Russia, and India. These countries are competing for control and influence over global resources, markets, and technologies, especially AI technology. Some fear this could lead to large-scale war or even nuclear war, potentially endangering humanity's survival. The worldwide uprising of artificial intelligence could be the consequence or cause of a global war. Some speculate that AI systems, which are becoming more advanced, autonomous, and intelligent, may develop a sense of self-awareness, agency, and morality. Alien contact. While the idea of an alien attack might seem like something out of science fiction, it is not without precedent. In the past, various cultures have reported encounters with extraterrestrial beings, and some have even claimed to have been abducted by aliens. However, it is important to note that there is currently no scientific evidence to support the existence of aliens or the possibility of an alien attack. While the likelihood of an alien attack is unknown, the idea of contact with extraterrestrial life raises a number of questions about our place in the universe and the possibility of other intelligent life. It could also have significant effects on our society and culture, potentially leading to new scientific discoveries and even religious or philosophical changes. While there is currently no scientific evidence to support the existence of extraterrestrial life, the search for such life is an active area of research. Scientists have discovered thousands of exoplanets, or planets that orbit stars other than our sun, and some of these planets are located in the habitable zone, which could potentially support life. Additionally, several organizations, such as the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, are actively searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. The Antichrist appearance. This is the next prophecy for 2025. The blind prophet continued to warn the world about the important character might change the whole world. That is Antichrist. When you watch a TV show or music competition, it's amazing to see how people can rise up from poverty and then be launched into worldwide popularity in a matter of months. So it will be with the Antichrist. He will have an inconspicuous beginning and win the hearts of humanity. He will be highly intelligent. He will be stronger than most. He will be a gifted communicator. He will be politically savvy. While he will be charming, his corrupt character will be revealed after 3.5 years into the tribulation. The world will see how this man is now hell-bent on destroying the Christian faith and persecuting the Jews. He is described as a blasphemer, a hater of God's law. He will be consumed by his selfish ambitions. He will try to change biblical prophecies by twisting the scriptures. He will ultimately pretend to be God and demand to be worshipped. He will come claiming he is the one, the long-awaited one. He will be the Messiah of the new age, who will be secretly led by Satan, who will see within him his former glory and will view him as the rightful vessel to re-achieve his ancient status and then some. He will usher in a new golden age of false peace and prosperity and will soon thereafter be proclaimed as the God of this new age. He will craftily make war with the saints and subdue them for a time, while keeping up this false personage. He also might be political antichrists. Just as there are religious antichrists, there also are political antichrists. Communism is a good example. Communism is an antichrist in that it seeks to replace Christ and his kingdom as Earth's rightful ruler and mankind's only hope. Thus, we are told that it is the messianic character of communism that gives it dynamic power to command allegiance. Its leaders, such as Lenin and Stalin, have been not only idolized, but deified, termed saviors, and the ones chosen by God to lead their people. What is true of communism's being the Antichrist is also true of the United Nations. it is being given a messianic role to play by the clergy of Christendom as the world's savior, its only hope and the only light. Whereas the Bible plainly shows that Jesus Christ and God's kingdom is our only hope. That's why many eyes keep watching these two popular men of the world, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Some might think that Trump and Elon could be the figures mentioned in the Bible who would appear as adversaries of God. However, if you hear about their love and faith in God, you may very well change your mind. We all know that Trump has a strong belief in God. Trump claims to have a strong relationship with God and the evangelical Christian community. He goes to church regularly, especially on important Christian holidays like Christmas and Easter and Sundays. He believes in doing the right things so he doesn't have to ask for forgiveness. When he's in church, he takes part in the ritual of communion with wine and a cracker as a way of seeking forgiveness and feeling cleansed. When received the question, "You have said you never felt the need to ask for God's forgiveness, and yet repentance for one's sins is a precondition to salvation," Trump replied, "I will be asking for forgiveness, but hopefully I won't have to be asking for much forgiveness." When asked who he says Jesus is, he replied, "Jesus to me is somebody I can think about for security and confidence, somebody I can revere in terms of bravery and in terms of courage, and because I consider the Christian religion so important, somebody I can totally rely on in my own mind." He also said that America needs a savior right now, but that's not him, of course. Trump said, "The life and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ forever changed the world." He said it is impossible to think of the history and life of America without the influence of his example and of his teachings. Trump added that none of America's accomplishments would have been possible without Jesus Christ and his followers and his church. Elon Musk is a physicist genius whose scent for a good idea or two has taken him a long way. But what makes people most curious about this man is his faith. In an interview, a host asked Musk if he accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. Do you wonder about his answer? This is what Elon Musk said. "I mean, LTs just say that I agree with the principles that Jesus advocated. And there is great wisdom in the teachings of Jesus, and I agree with those teachings."
Turn the other cheek are very important, because as opposed to an eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. So, forgiveness is important. Treating people as you would wish to be treated. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Very important. After the end of his answer, Musk made it clear that he had actually been baptized in the Anglican Church as a child, and he was taught the parables and principles of Jesus Christ. That's assumedly how he knew turn the other cheek, the golden rule, and God's second greatest commandment. He also believed that he would be saved. This shows that he has a thoughtful interest in the person and teachings of Jesus. But you know what? Before giving such an answer, Elon Musk stated that he is not someone who lives by faith. He recalled asking questions about the miracles and mysteries as a child, but never being answered in an understanding manner. Musk recalled attending Sunday school at the locale church, where his mother was a teacher. Musk immediately started questioning stories from the Bible. Musk also said the story of Jesus feeding the crowd with bread and fish could not happen, as things can't just materialize out of nothing. The billionaire also struggled with the concept of communion. The billionaire took what he knew from religion and thought there was no creator or a deity, and instead, it was science that could explain things. This is what extends the gap between Musk and God. Nevertheless, Musk retained some valuable teachings from the Gospels, and it's certainly a strong foundation upon which to rebuild one's faith should he choose to return to Christianity. The Awakeness Year. The year 2025, according to Casey, marks a pivotal moment in human history. It's described as an epoch where a collective awakening occurs the world. He believed that by 2025, humanity would experience a significant spiritual awakening, leading to a deeper connection with our inner selves and a greater awareness of our interconnectedness with all living beings. This prediction resonates with the increasing interest in mindfulness, meditation, and holistic well-being practices in our modern society. As scientific and technological advancements have dominated our collective focus, many have found themselves feeling increasingly disconnected from a sense of meaning and purpose in their lives. That is what Edgar Cayce saw long ago, and he believed that 2025 is the perfect time for everyone to awaken. We all need to seek out ways to reconnect with their inner selves and find greater fulfillment in life. Edgar Cayce also spoke about the awakening that people must experience after leaving this world. He told, "After death, we may enter a region that is void of love, life, and light, void of everything. For some, this region is approximately their wish come true. Here, they are truly alone with themselves. For some souls, this is a pain that is unbearable. In the absence of truth, love, gentleness, and kindness, some souls fill the void with an irrational and unbelievable amount of pain and fear. It is so dark in the realm of outer darkness that the darkness hurts, and panic grips them without knowing why. There are various degrees of darkness to this realm, and it is darker and denser at the center than at its outer fringes. The closer we are to the outer edges, the more interaction there is with others in the realm. The closer to the center, the darker and more painful is the solitude. Those who find themselves in outer darkness cannot travel across this dimension. They must grow through the levels of this realm. After death, one may find themselves in a particular degree of darkness that most closely corresponds to the degree of the absence of love in one's life. Outer darkness is not a punishment. It is a region which operates lawfully for the benefit of those who are there. This region is not a realm which was created for any soul to experience, but one which came about as a consequence of the negative activity of souls in creation. So great has been the desire for self, so monumental across time and space has been the selfishness of some of God's creatures, that this realm is the creation or manifestation of their own collective activities. Outer darkness and the reality with which it is associated were created and are held in place by collective self-interest.
By the 1980s, Benjelia, who adopted the name Baba Vanga, had given thousands of accurate predictions and gained a reputation as the Nostradamus of the Balkans.
Despite Baba Vanga's passing in 1996, many people still think her prophecies are coming true. Vanga's chilling prophecies and profound insights further aroused public curiosity about what she predicted for 2025 has begun and terrifies everyone. Among the terrible predictions, prophecies related to Donald Trump, who is fervently preparing for his final race, are receiving significant attention. In a strange connection between the past and present, Vanga's predictions seem to be validated by a prophet from America, namely, Last Days. Donald Trump's health challenge. Dramatic events that happened to Donald Trump have renewed interest in the eerie predictions of Baba Vanga, the blind mystic from Bulgaria, who had once foretold that the former U.S. president's life would be in danger. There were 2 attacks on his life is serving to further unsettle the tumultuous 2024 election cycle. Baba Vanga, often referred to as the Nostradamus of the Balkans, had a reputation for making startling predictions. Despite passing away in 1996, her prophecies continue to intrigue and alarm many. Among her numerous predictions, Vanga had foreseen that the life of Donald Trump would be in danger. According to Baba Vanga's predictions, Trump would face a mysterious illness that would leave him deaf and suffering from a brain tumor. While Trump has not experienced these specific health issues, the recent assassination attempt adds a chilling layer to her prophecy about his life being in peril. This famous prophet is also give the prediction about Trump accident.
And then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum.
When a person has a near-death experience, it oftentimes signals a turning point in life, a period of much reflection and renewed energy, direction, and purpose. Trump almost lost his life. A slight turn, an adjusted aim within millimeters, even a gust of wind, could have resulted in a very different outcome. And for that, he must be thankful to God. In the face of adversity, Trump displayed courage, strength, and bravery, urging Americans to fight for their country, with fist in air. With all of Trump's flaws, he could do some reflecting, clean up his act, and re-emerge polished and forceful. Many no doubt would forgive him, as no man is perfect. Getting a second chance at life can do just that. Trump could rebrand himself into a stronger candidate, one who is American first, brave and ready to lead and serve. He could also become more personable and even likable. He could position himself to be more purposeful, standing up against violence, hate, and bigotry. It could be an opportunity to lead his party to enact stronger gun laws in the U.S., something they have resisted for decades. God could be speaking to Trump to turn things around for his own good and those around him. While Baba Vanga made a rather grim prediction about Trump's future, The Simpsons predicted that this powerful man would soon return to the top position. The Simpsons has proved prescient, as the long-running animated series correctly predicted that Donald Trump would run for president in 2024. After Trump announced he would be running for office for a third time, people around the world flocked to share an image from a 2015 episode of the multi-time Emmy-winning series. In the picture, Homer is seen flying through the air as a Trump 2024 campaign sign stands in the background. This image comes from an episode titled Trumptastic Voyage. The mini-episode sees Homer embark on an extraordinary journey after a close encounter with Donald Trump's hairpiece. In order to make America great and glorious again, I am announcing my candidacy for President of the United States, the former president said. Antichrist appearance. The blind prophet continued to warn the world about the important character might change the whole world. That is Antichrist. When you watch a TV show or music competition, it's amazing to see how people can rise up from poverty and then be launched into worldwide popularity in a matter of months. So it will be with the Antichrist. He will have an inconspicuous beginning and win the hearts of humanity. He will be highly intelligent. He will be stronger than most. He will be a gifted communicator. He will be politically savvy. While he will be charming, his corrupt character will be revealed after 3.5 years into the tribulation. The world will see how this man is now hell-bent on destroying the Christian faith and persecuting the Jews. He is described as a blasphemer, a hater of God's law. He will be consumed by his selfish ambitions. He will try to change biblical prophecies by twisting the scriptures. He will ultimately pretend to be God and demand to be worshipped. He will come claiming he is the one, the long-awaited one. He will be the Messiah of the new age, who will be secretly led by Satan, who will see within him his former glory and will view him as the rightful vessel to re-achieve his ancient status and then some. He will usher in a new golden age of false peace and prosperity and will soon thereafter be proclaimed as the God of this new age. He will craftily make war with the saints and subdue them for a time, while keeping up this false personage. He also might be political antichrists. Just as there are religious antichrists, there also are political antichrists. Communism is a good example. Communism is an antichrist in that it seeks to replace Christ and his kingdom as Earth's rightful ruler and mankind's only hope. Thus, we are told that it is the messianic character of communism that gives it dynamic power to command allegiance. Its leaders, such as Lenin and Stalin, have been not only idolized, but deified, termed saviors, and the ones chosen by God to lead their people. What is true of communism's being the Antichrist is also true of the United Nations. It is being given a messianic role to play by the clergy of Christendom as the world's savior, its only hope, and the only light, whereas the Bible plainly shows that Jesus Christ and God's kingdom is our only hope. That's why many eyes keep watching these two popular men of the world, Donald Trump and Elon Musk's. Some might think that Trump and Elon could be the figures mentioned in the Bible who would appear as adversaries of God. However, if you hear about their love and faith in God, you may very well change your mind. We all know that Trump has a strong belief in God. Trump claims to have a strong relationship with God and the evangelical Christian community. He goes to church regularly, especially on important Christian holidays like Christmas and Easter and Sundays. He believes in doing the right things so he doesn't have to ask for forgiveness. When he's in church, he takes part in the ritual of communion with wine and a cracker as a way of seeking forgiveness and feeling cleansed. When received the question, "You have said you never felt the need to ask for God's forgiveness, and yet repentance for one's sins is a precondition to salvation." Trump replied, "I will be asking for forgiveness, but hopefully I won't have to be asking for much forgiveness." When asked who he says Jesus is, he replied, "Jesus to me is somebody I can think about for security and confidence, somebody I can revere in terms of bravery and in terms of courage, and because I consider the Christian religion so important, somebody I can totally rely on in my own mind." He also said that America needs a savior right now, but that's not him, of course. Trump said, "The life and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ forever changed the world." He said it is impossible to think of the history and life of America without the influence of his example and of his teachings. Trump added that none of America's accomplishments would have been possible without Jesus Christ and his followers and his church. Elon Musk is a physicist genius whose scent for a good idea or two has taken him a long way. But what makes people most curious about this man is his faith. In an interview, a host asked Musk if he accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. Do you wonder about his answer? This is what Elon Musk said. "I mean, LTs just say that I agree with the principles that Jesus advocated. And there is great wisdom in the teachings of Jesus, and I agree with those teachings."
Turn the other cheek are very important because as opposed to an eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. So, forgiveness is important. Treating people as you would wish to be treated. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Very important. After the end of his answer, Musk made it clear that he had actually been baptized in the Anglican Church as a child, and he was taught the parables and principles of Jesus Christ. That's assumedly how he knew turn the other cheek, the golden rule, and God's second greatest commandment. He also believed that he would be saved. This shows that he has a thoughtful interest in the person and teachings of Jesus. But you know what? Before giving such an answer, Elon Musk stated that he is not someone who lives by faith. He recalled asking questions about the miracles and mysteries as a child, but never being answered in an understanding manner. Musk recalled attending Sunday school at the locale church, where his mother was a teacher. Musk immediately started questioning stories from the Bible. Musk also said the story of Jesus feeding the crowd with bread and fish could not happen, as things can't just materialize out of nothing. The billionaire also struggled with the concept of communion. The billionaire took what he knew from religion and thought there was no creator or a deity, and instead, it was science that could explain things. This is what extends the gap between Musk and God. Nevertheless, Musk retained some valuable teachings from the Gospels, and it's certainly a strong foundation upon which to rebuild one's faith should he choose to return to Christianity. The end of the world. Before her death, Vanga predicted Europe would be under Islamic leadership by 2043, communism's return by 2076, and the resolution of the world hunger crisis between 2025 and 2028. In 2304, humans supposedly achieved time travel, followed by man-made natural disasters from 2341, rendering Earth uninhabitable. Fear not, as Vanga claims human immortality, assimilation with aliens, and communication with God by 4302. The world's end, according to her, is only in 5079. In India, where temperatures are said to reach 50 degrees and cause locusts to damage crops, Baba Vanga also foresaw famine. The mystic who predicted intense bouts of flooding in Australia and parts of Asia also predicted more earthquakes and tsunamis. It is believed to have been said by Baba Vanga that in 2024, a country would be carrying out bioweapons tests. This prediction is highly disturbing and relevant to current geopolitical issues. This prediction of the blind prophet reminds us a verse of Bible. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places, and famines. These are the beginning of birth pains. Doubtless, somewhere people will, again, start to use such disasters as signs that we are living in the last days. Or, to put it more accurately, since the New Testament consistently insists the last days began with Christ's first coming, they will insist that we are living in the last days of the last days. Wars and rumors of wars should not alarm God's people. The end is still to come. Earthquakes and famines are merely the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her that the body wants to bring into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. But my, how unreliable those labor pains can be, sometimes coming months ahead of the actual due date, sometimes weeks in advance. They remind us that we are getting closer to the climactic day, but we knew that already just because of the passing of time. Vanga also said that in 2024, Earth could encounter a different path around the sun. This is a highly interesting prediction and one that could have far-reaching effects on our lives. Every year, Earth passes the sun around 584 million miles. This journey is an epic elliptical one, as it is shaped like an oval instead of a circle. The exact shape of the oval is determined by the forces of other planets. Although Earth's orbit can change due to these forces, these changes only happen in a cyclical manner. Even subtle changes can have severe implications on the Earth. It could cause extreme radiation levels and soaring temperatures to affect our planet. It's also possible that the orbital shift suggested by Baba Vanga could be caused by an impact from an asteroid. But we need to take a note at this. Although there are many prophets who make predictions about the end of the world, in reality, God has said that no one knows the day or hour of his coming, but God. But about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard, be alert. You do not know when that time will come. When the Lord tells us, no one knows the day or the hour, he is referring to the truth that nobody knows when his second coming will be. Many individuals throughout time have tried to predict the second coming of Christ, yet there is no way a person can predict the Lord's second coming. The second coming of Christ is often confused with the rapture of the church. Many scholars blend these two events of eschatology to be the same event. However, the second coming of Christ and the rapture are two distinct events. The rapture will occur before the second coming of Christ, because the second coming will not occur until the end of the 7-year tribulation. None of us can predict the time when all of these future events will take place. The rapture is the catalyst for the rest of the events of eschatology, as believers will be taken up to be with the Lord prior to the 7-year tribulation. After the 7-year tribulation will be the second coming of Christ. During this time, Christ will return to fight in the Battle of Armageddon. You can read Revelation chapter 19 verses 11 to 16 for more. In the battle of Armageddon, the Lord will defeat the Antichrist and the false prophet. Jesus will rule victorious over evil and destroy all those who went against him. The second coming will be drastically different from his first coming. The Lord has already given us the opportunity to place faith in him through the knowledge of the gospel. Yet at his second coming, he will bring the full promises of our salvation to fruition. After the end of the 7-year tribulation, Jesus will reign as king for 1,000 years, and then he will establish the new heaven and new earth. When God establishes the new heaven and new earth, the world will be exactly as God first intended it to be in the Garden of Eden. No longer will there be any death, pain, or sadness. Instead, there will only be happiness, joy, and life. The second coming of Christ is something we should all look forward to, as it will be a major event in eschatology. If you are presently already a believer, you can be confident in the knowledge that you will return with Christ at his second coming and help fight in the battle of Armageddon. All believers who have died or been taken up in the rapture prior to the 7-year tribulation will return to Christ to fight in the battle of Armageddon. While this may be frightening, we can trust in the Lord and in his future plans. Cure for cancer. The mystic predicted that new cures for diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer will be invented this year. It sounds unbelievable, but, nothing is impossible with the rapid development of world medicine. President Vladimir Putin recently said that Russian scientists are close to creating a vaccine for cancer that could soon be available to patients. He said, "We have reached a significant milestone in the development of cancer vaccines and next-generation immunomodulatory drugs. I hope that soon they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy," he added, speaking at a Moscow forum on future technologies. However, he did not specify the types of cancer the proposed vaccines would target. Furthermore, recent developments have confirmed progress in the development of a lung cancer vaccine. The United Kingdom has allocated funding for 2 years of laboratory research and initial manufacturing of 3,000 doses for a DNA-based lung cancer vaccine, as stated in a press release from the University of Oxford, located in Oxford, England. But it cannot be denied that the world will have a positive outlook for cancer patients, and we can fully expect that miracle will happen in 2024. The rise of technology. In Baba Vanga's predictions, thanks to advances in organ transplant technology, humans will live to be more than 100 years old. She also anticipated that the darkness would be gone, and another region of Earth would be illuminated by artificial sunlight. She foresees a major breakthrough in the realm of quantum computing, bringing an unprecedented technological revolution. This advancement is set to shake up various sectors, from finance and healthcare to cybersecurity, all thanks to the mind-blowing capabilities of quantum computers. The rapid advance of technology is transforming civilization in ways no one expected, in ways that are exciting and scary, ways we are only beginning to understand. Tech seems on the verge of recreating human beings into something new, something altered, bionic, computerized, robotic, superhuman. The internet's spiderweb has descended and covered nearly all elements of civilization. The smartphone, smartwatch, and smart home are growing into the smart world. So, are these things linked to the Bible prophecy? Some readers may recall the words given to the prophet Daniel more than 25 centuries ago in Daniel 12:4, that at the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Not until recent history have we seen a time when millions of people rapidly fly all over the globe, reaching destinations in hours that in previous centuries took months or even years. Until year 1900, human knowledge approximately doubled every century. However, by 1950, human knowledge doubled every 25 years. In 2000, human knowledge would double every year. Now, Our knowledge is almost doubling every day. This should certainly make us pay attention to how quickly our world is changing, and with it, how previously puzzling Bible prophecies might now be fulfilled. In Matthew 24, Jesus Christ's disciples asked him what would signal his return. What started with the movable type printing press in 1439 eventually matured into the internet and smartphones, instant fingertip access to anything at any time. Christ's words in Matthew 24:14 have never made more sense than in this era. The internet in everyone's pockets means the potential now exists, as never before, for the true gospel of God's coming kingdom to be preached, truly, to all nations. In Revelation 13:15-17, verses show the rise in the last days of a world-ruling superpower centered in Europe called the Beast. God's word shows it will exercise unprecedented control over people, like the vast Roman Empire but bigger and modern, with religion playing a major role. Revelation shows how the religious leader of this end-time superpower will honor the civil aspect of this power and will punish and kill those who refuse to worship the beast. Note how those who refuse to be part of this satanic system are cut off from buying or selling. Their economic tap is turned off. Then think of our soon-coming cashless society. Every transaction is rapidly becoming electronic. It will not be technically difficult for people to no longer be able to buy and sell if they do not fall in line with the beast power. Technology may not be the actual mark of the beast, but it will almost certainly be used to enforce the mark. The stage is set for God to reach vast numbers with the true gospel, and the context of this prophecy is just before Christ's second coming. Baba Vanga predicted that communication technologies would continue to evolve, making it easier for people to connect across vast distances. Innovations in this field could lead to faster, more reliable internet connections and new ways of interacting with each other, further shrinking the global village. Baba Vanga's technological advancements predicted for 2024 are expected to impact daily life profoundly. From healthcare to communication, these innovations could improve efficiency, convenience, and overall quality of life. As we embrace these changes, it is important to consider the benefits and potential challenges they may bring. Also with that, humans face to dangerous cyber attacks. She warns of a surge in cyber attack for 2025. These aren't your run-of-the-mill hackers. They're leveling up in sophistication, targeting critical infrastructure like power grids and water treatment facilities. These attacks could lead to widespread disruptions and chaos, posing a serious national security threat. Human birth at laboratories. Baba Vanga is believed to have predicted that for 2025, human babies will be born in laboratories, where the color of their skin to their character can be decided. This means that the entire process of birth will be controlled. The rise of technology, according to Vanga, advancements in reproductive technology, have already made it possible for some couples to conceive through in vitro fertilization, IVF, and other assisted reproductive technologies. However, the idea of human reproduction becoming entirely artificial raises a number of ethical questions, such as whether it is right to create human life in a laboratory setting. Additionally, it is unclear what impact this could have on the population as a whole, and what unintended consequences could arise from such technology. Human reproduction becoming entirely artificial could have significant consequences for our population and society. It could potentially lead to a decrease in genetic diversity and a greater reliance on technology to create new life. It could also raise significant ethical questions about the creation and ownership of life, as well as the role of government and society in regulating and controlling such technology. The development of artificial reproductive technologies is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have successfully grown mouse embryos in an artificial womb, and human embryos have been successfully grown in vitro. While there are still many technical and ethical challenges to be addressed, these advancements suggest that the development of entirely artificial human reproduction is not outside the realm of possibility. the development of artificial body parts and prosthetics is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have developed brain-controlled prosthetic arms, and some artificial organs, such as hearts, are already in use. While the development of entirely artificial bodies and organs is still a long way off, these advancements suggest that the potential for such technology is not out of the question. Dangerous bird virus. Birds have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, such as avian flu, which can be transmitted to humans. It is possible that a new virus could emerge that would have a significant impact on bird populations. The potential consequences of such an event would depend on the severity of the virus and the ability of humans to contain its spread. A dangerous virus affecting bird populations could potentially have significant ecological and economic consequences. It could disrupt food supplies, as well as impact other animal populations that rely on birds for food or pollination. Additionally, it could potentially lead to the spread of the virus to humans, which could have significant health consequences. Bird populations have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, and the potential for future outbreaks is always a concern. However, the identification and monitoring of potential bird viruses is an active area of research, and scientists are working to develop new vaccines and other preventative measures to protect both birds and humans. Geopolitical changes. Baba Vanga's predictions for 2025 also encompass significant geopolitical changes. She foresaw shifts in global power dynamics that could reshape international relations and influence the balance of power. Emerging powers could rise to prominence once dominant nations see their influence wane. These changes will impact global trade, economic policies, and diplomatic relations. Countries must navigate these shifts carefully to maintain stability and foster cooperation. Baba Vanga's prophecies suggest that some nations may form new alliances, while others could experience internal strife and political upheaval. The predicted geopolitical changes may also affect global security. Shifting power dynamics could increase the risk of conflicts and tensions. Nations must prioritize diplomacy and conflict resolution to avoid escalation and promote peace. In addition to power shifts, Baba Vanga predicted changes in global leadership. New leaders may emerge with different visions and policies, influencing the direction of their countries and the world. These leaders could be crucial in addressing global challenges, such as climate change, economic inequality, and social justice. Baba Vanga's predictions for geopolitical changes in 2024 highlight the need for adaptability and resilience. As the world evolves, nations must work together to navigate these changes and create a more stable and prosperous future. Cyborg humans. Advancements in prosthetics and other artificial body parts have already made it possible for some people to replace lost or damaged body parts with artificial ones. However, the idea of humans becoming entirely cyborg raises a number of ethical and philosophical questions, such as what it means to be human, and whether it is right to modify the human body in such a way. Additionally, it is unclear what impact this could have on society as a whole, and whether it could lead to a greater divide between those who can afford such enhancements and those who cannot. Many of her predictions are open to interpretation, and it is unclear what impact they could have on our lives. However, they do raise some interesting questions about the future of humanity and the role of technology in shaping our world. Humans becoming cyborgs could potentially lead to significant changes in our society and culture. It could create new social and economic divides between those who can afford such enhancements and those who cannot. It could also raise significant ethical questions about what it means to be human, as well as the potential impact on our health and well-being. Additionally, it could lead to significant changes in our job market and economy, potentially replacing some jobs with machines or technology. Alien contact. While the idea of an alien attack might seem like something out of science fiction, it is not without precedent. In the past, various cultures have reported encounters with extraterrestrial beings, and some have even claimed to have been abducted by aliens. However, it is important to note that there is currently no scientific evidence to support the existence of aliens or the possibility of an alien attack. While the likelihood of an alien attack is unknown, the idea of contact with extraterrestrial life raises a number of questions about our place in the universe and the possibility of other intelligent life. It could also have significant effects on our society and culture, potentially leading to new scientific discoveries and even religious or philosophical changes. While there is currently no scientific evidence to support the existence of extraterrestrial life, the search for such life is an active area of research. Scientists have discovered thousands of exoplanets, or planets that orbit stars other than our sun, and some of these planets are located in the habitable zone, which could potentially support life. Additionally, several organizations, such as the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, are actively searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. Europe's population will reach 0. Baba Vanga predicted that by 2025, Europe's population will become nearly 0. This could be due to terrorism, social upheaval, and climate changes. With the current global distress caused by the microvirus, it's not impossible for Europe's population to vanish. However, how much of this is true remains to be seen. Humans will reach Venus and Mercury. According to Baba Vanga, by 2028, humans will reach Venus in search of new energy sources, and the problem of food shortages will be resolved. There will also be a human space mission to Mercury. With more than half of the Earth suffering due to climate change and terrorism, humans have already begun searching for habitats on other planets. It's possible that Baba Vanga's prophecy could come true. Personally, seeing the state of Earth makes me want to move to another planet. Anyway, let's move on to the next prediction.